The morning of June 18, 1815, arrived soaked in thunder and dread. Napoleon Bonaparte, master of Europe, stood face to face with destiny on the muddy fields of Waterloo. His dream of a second empire rested on one final gamble. Across the ridge, the Duke of Wellington braced for the storm, commanding a multinational army of British, Dutch, and Prussians. The fields were slick, the cannons bogged, but time was against them. Every hour lost gave the Prussians time to reinforce. As drums beat and banners rose, Napoleon's Grande Armée, veterans of Austerlitz and Jena, prepared to strike. But this would be no ordinary battle. It would be a clash of legends. A single misstep here could end an empire. At 11:30 a.m., the first wave surged forward. The French attacked the Allied right at Hougoumont, a walled farm that became a furnace of fire. Wave after wave of French troops smashed into it, but Wellington's men held. Meanwhile, Napoleon launched a massive infantry assault against the Allied center. The ground shook as cannons roared and musket volleys turned the wheat fields red. At La Haye-Sainte, French cuirassiers thundered in, armored, disciplined, deadly. But Wellington's lines bent, not broke. Napoleon pushed harder, confident that Blücher's Prussians would arrive too late. But far off, through smoke and haze, distant drums beat. Reinforcements were coming for the enemy. By mid-afternoon, Napoleon's worst fear materialized. From the woods east of the battlefield, the Prussians under Marshal Blücher emerged like phantoms. Their arrival turned the tide. The French right flank now faced a second front. Ney, Napoleon's trusted marshal, begged for more cavalry, more men. Napoleon hesitated, stretched thin and frustrated. Yet Blücher's troops poured in, fresh, fierce, and relentless. French forces pivoted, splitting their strength. Waterloo was no longer a one-on-one duel. It was a two-pronged storm. The Emperor's margin for error vanished. The hour of reckoning loomed, and it bore the black and white flags of Prussia. In a moment of desperation and fury, Marshal Ney unleashed one of history's most ill-fated charges. Without infantry support or artillery cover, thousands of French cavalry stormed uphill toward Wellington Center. The British squares stood firm, disciplined and deadly. Horses fell, sabers clashed, and cannonballs tore through flesh and steel. Again and again, the French charged, 8 times in total, each more futile than the last. Napoleon, horrified, watched his finest horsemen dissolve into the mud. It was a display of valor, but also madness. Ney, covered in dirt and blood, had spent France's best with nothing to show. The Emperor's grip on victory was slipping fast. As twilight descended, Napoleon committed his final reserve, his immortal Imperial Guard. The elite of the elite, feared across Europe, stepped onto the killing field. They marched with honor, past shattered corpses and burning fields, into the British center. But Wellington waited. From hidden positions, redcoats rose and fired in volleys. Smoke, fire screams. The Guard faltered. For the first time in history, they broke. La Garde Recule echoed across the battlefield. Panic spread through the French lines like wildfire. What once was an army became a stampede. The end had come. The myth of Napoleon's invincibility died that day, trampled under boots, drowned in blood. By nightfall, the field of Waterloo belonged to Wellington and Blücher. Napoleon fled the chaos, defeated but not yet captured. In the days that followed, he abdicated for the second and final time, exiled to the remote island of St. Helena. The man who once ruled Europe became a prisoner of his own ambition. Yet his legend endured: strategist, reformer, tyrant, hero. Waterloo was more than a battle. It was the final crescendo of an age of empires. A single day that shaped the fate of nations for centuries to come. The charge had failed, but the myth had only begun. Don't miss history's turning points. Subscribe now to Timeless Legend and relive the epic battles that forged our world.